Welcome into another episode of Sportslandia. As we get things going, we had a week off because, well, Ray's just a busy
bee.
Which I guess would rather be busy than not busy.
Yeah.
Brian Slike here, Ray Bradley. We're back with another episode of Sportslandia. Couple things to recap. I know you were clamoring for it. We were talking about it for the last 30 seconds before this episode started. The in-season tournament finale.
Yes, it all came to a head in Vegas.
I was really hoping that LeBron would not add this to his championship ring collection.
Me too.
Apparently he does. Now he does have something that is more than MJ. Good for him, I guess.
You never won one of these?
Yeah. MJ never stood a chance. Never even qualified for an in-season tournament.
No. Not once.
Not once, which is a sham, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
The Lakers played the Indiana Pacers in the championship. It is the one bonus game that these two teams play that is not actually on their regular calendar. That was the one caveat to this in-season tournament. Once you make the championship, it's that extra game.
I'm curious if that'll end up coming down and swinging some kind of seeding at the very end of the year if the Pacers
the game doesn't count.
Oh, it doesn't even count.
It doesn't
They're
count.
just playing another game.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and the record is just 1-0.
Okay.
And 0-1.
Okay.
So this game does not go into your overall season record at all. Unfortunately, I was cheering for the Pacers mainly because you look at their roster, and like 8 or 9 of those guys could have used the extra $500,000.
Almost all of them.
I mean, they're on like minimal contracts.
Yeah.
They're two-way guys, whatever it is. Like unless you were highly drafted, everybody could have used that money.
Yes.
And I would say that a majority of the people who had their eyes on this game were probably cheering for the Pacers for that exact reason.
Yeah. They were the fun team to watch this tournament. Tyrese Halliburton kind of exploded this tournament. And, I thought they could win it all. They made it to the championship, which I was happy with.
Yeah.
They beat the Bucks with Lillard and Giannis. The Pelicans did not even show up to play the Lakers. They just straight no-showed. So that, keep that in mind for later.
Bow down to Anthony Davis still.
Yeah, but he had a crazy tournament, and LeBron did LeBron things, and it's just an early reminder that, the Lakers are a contender this year for real, as much as some people are rooting for that to happen.
Now, I know that LeBron is a big philanthropist, but I heard one of his quotes was like, "Oh, I'd do anything for that $500,000." Dude, you're making millions already. You don't need that extra $500,000.
Yes.
Your teammates probably do. Don't get me wrong.
He is also the guy where there's all those stories about him being super cheap about different little things.
Right?
So I can kind of understand that, I suppose.
I don't know. I could see him totally just like putting this towards his school in Akron or one of his other billion things that he does, his studio or whatever it is.
You hope that's where it went, because it's not like he needs that extra little bit there.
And he already makes a whole bunch in advertising money too.
There's a couple end of the bench guys that I saw stats that they doubled their salary basically for the year.
Yeah, I mean, good. That's the one big positive about the in-season tournament is like a lot of these guys near the end of the bench. That is big time money for them.
Yeah,
especially when you're floating probably between G League and the actual roster.
Oh yeah.
$500,000. I mean, think about what you could do now. It's not $1 million from the 1980s or anything like that, but I mean,
it's crazy though.
I could do a lot with $500,000.
Yes, especially us. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
And what did the Lakers do with their $500,000? They got an in-season tournament banner.
They actually got the banner. We were
now,
curious if this would happen. I saw a video of it being unveiled. It looked like there was text on a banner. It looked like what I thought it would, I guess.
Does it say IST or does it say in-season tournament?
I think it says in-season tournament.
Okay, if it said IST, I probably would have been even more against it.
Yeah, I don't really like that, whatever you want to call it, nomenclature, especially since for ages it just looked like first. Yeah. Which is obviously confusing. And going to be more confusing when we're on the second one and it still looks like it says first.
Well, I was like...
So they're probably going to find a sponsor and change the name at some point.
Yeah, I hope they do, because I just, my normal thing to do in the morning is I go on ESPN, I'm like, what are the main headlines?
Yeah.
And one of the first ones that popped up was Lakers reveal IST banner. And I was like, what the hell is IST? The in-season tournament.
Yeah.
I was like, just say that.
Well, I thought it said revealed their first banner, and I was like,
that's definitely not true.
That cannot be true for the Lakers.
Now,
they got all those Minneapolis banners up, right?
The one thing I thought if you're going to hang a banner, I think they did it right in the sense of it's not its own, one banner for the 2023 in-season tournament. I guess they're doing it they're just going to put the year inside the banner each time they would win it.
Okay.
Which
sure.
I think is a much better way to do it when you've won 17 actual NBA titles.
Yeah, if the Pacers or Pelicans had want to put up one, I think it would have made a little more sense. But yeah, it's.
I still think that would have been too much. It's in-season tournament, and you didn't win the NBA title.
Sure.
If you're going to do a banner, do what the Lakers did in a sense. Not that I'm proud that the Lakers hung a banner in the first place, but you got to do it where it's just like the year.
Or not a half banner, something a little smaller to denote how important it was. But I mean, it was a fun tournament. We did get some like borderline playoff level basketball.
Definitely, you could see that players were way more engaged.
They were trying, and so there's some success there. And
can we get a redesign on the courts though?
Yeah, there was
for next season.
I think they were really trying to push that it was obvious and clear that these were different, and it was quite obvious to the eyes a lot of the times.
I burned my retinas, I feel like. So
they may pull that back a little bit. I liked having the trophy on the court. I hope they do that again for the finals.
Yeah, that kind of. Yeah, I was gonna say that reminded me a lot of the finals.
Yeah, so
what they used to do at least.
Yes, so I hope they do that. They came out with like an all-tournament team. It's a lot of sort of fun stuff. I still think there needs to be some kind of team incentive. It's hard to place exactly what that would be that's fair. I've heard people be like a guaranteed play-in spot or some kind of seeding choice, or I've floated like some kind of trade exception, like something that the team can hang their hat on.
I wouldn't necessarily put it
impact the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything with the playoffs per se. Like, what if your team comes up with a bunch of injuries down the road? Like, you're not one of the best teams that's making the playoffs at that point. I understand trying to add some incentive. You already added incentive though. You just won $500 extra grand that you weren't going to be doing.
That doesn't matter to the fans of the teams at all. That's the thing. Like, I don't.
It's the whole point of the whole point of this in-season tournament was just to get more engagement and eyes on what was going on, which I think was a success for them. They did exactly what they wanted to do. They don't need to mess with the format anymore.
I think there's still one last level to get the fans a little more invested, because as a fan, if all I'm rooting for is like bragging rights and some money for the guys on the end of the bench, I don't really care as much. If I would like some kind of incentive, but it's hard to not make it weighted too much where then it is like the All-Star game of baseball where that decides home field for
it doesn't
the World
anymore,
Series.
but it used to.
It doesn't anymore? Okay, good, because that always seemed crazy to me.
That was a very dumb rule because they were trying to make the All-Star game important.
Yeah, and it's similar with this. It's a fine line, but that obviously was like way too much importance for a silly game in the middle of the year to decide whether or not a team gets home field in the World Series.
Because you could have had like a 100-win team versus an 89-win team, and the 89-win team has the home field advantage.
So you don't want to go that far, but this is the other end where it's like
give me something real. Spitball with me here.
I've spitballed a couple. I thought like some kind of guaranteed play-in, some kind of trade exception, some kind of
what's with a trade exception? Like what? You get a freebie? I don't totally understand what you're trying to go with on that one.
You get $8 million to make an extra trade. I don't know, something. You get some kind of.
I could get behind that one.
Chance to have the team have something to help them improve or give them some kind of way in postseason if they're not as good of a team. I don't know. And it is just spitballing, but you don't want to make it too powerful, like the All-Star World Series thing. But there's nothing there right now that quite grabs me. So I'm curious if they put a wrinkle in there in the future.
What if they gave you like
it could have the potential to totally screw it up as well.
Here's one for you. An extra mid to late round first round draft pick.
Yeah. Something like that could be interesting.
It's not overly like you're not getting a lottery pick, but you get an extra first round pick if you want. You could use that as a trade piece if you want.
Maybe like second round, even
second rounds are thrown around
a little too
like pieces of candy nowadays. Everybody gets one.
Well, that's perfect. Then you get a little piece of candy at the end of this. At least you could point to something. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure where that would land.
Like
I think there's a little bit more
incentive
for them to do
for the players and everything. I think they did exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah.
What they wanted, like you wanted them to play hard in these games because it actually meant something for said players.
Yeah,
I'm good with that. I understand where you're coming from. I don't think it should be a playoff implication type thing. I'm cool with the trade exception or even.
To me, that's at least why I was saying the play in. It's like, then it's like okay if.
If it's play
that's all you're guaranteed a play-in spot.
Okay. I was thinking
so
like
you still have to prove it. You still have to get there.
Yeah. Okay. So you would be like the 12 seed.
But
or whatever.
if you make a crazy run as, I don't know, the Knicks or something, if they were to fall off, but they were to win this in-season tournament, then they could at least be like, okay, we're gonna be in that 9-10 game and have a chance to get to the playoff. Like something like that, I think would be interesting. But most of these teams who get to these championships and win it are going to make the playoffs.
That was what I was about to say. Is like, you think the Lakers are going to be they were a play-in team last year, but they dealt with a ton of injuries.
Yes.
But like,
I don't know. Maybe it gives
this
you more
this year seems a bit different. Where like,
yeah,
they played hard for these in-season tournament games. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron gets a couple extra rest days. Same with AD and all that stuff. But I don't know. It's finicky because if you win the in-season tournament, most likely you're probably going to be a playoff team normally.
Yeah, most of these top 4, top 8 are going to be playoff teams.
So it's hard to say like that would be a good incentive.
I don't have the perfect answer, but I would like something to get the fans more engaged.
Late first round, early second round draft pick.
Because there's a lot of even that I think would be at least something. But yeah, it's a difficult tightrope to walk where you don't want to be too good.
I'm not saying this because I floated the idea, but I think the draft pick might be the good move because you can use that as a trade piece going forward. Like, we needed that one extra thing to land that superstar for our team.
Sure.
Boom. Here's that extra first round draft pick I just won 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Or early second round pick, whatever it ends up being.
It would be curious, but even that would at least get like team fans involved because as it is, it's mostly bragging rights.
Every fan gets $25.
Sure. Even that would be interesting.
Could you imagine just like, all right, if you're a fan, sign up on this website. You'll get $25 because your team won you in season turn.
It's like the Suns with their TV rights or whatever.
Yeah, you just get flooded. You get people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Like, we actually owe like $3.5 million to fans, guys. Maybe we should do that one next year.
A lot of Lakers fans east of the Mississippi. Right. It's weird.
A lot of Lakers fans in Senegal.
Yeah.
All right.
All over. I mean, they probably are. But yeah, overall, pretty successful tournament. We'll see how they tweak it in the future. But it was, at least people were kind of paying attention during the big football seasons, which usually they're not.
I mean, what they wanted was more engagement and eyes before basically Christmas time when everybody assumes that's when the NBA season really starts. I mean, they're, 20-ish games into the season right now, 25 games into the season?
Yep. Yeah.
So,
still pretty early.
Yeah, you still have basically 3/4 of your season left.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was a great way to get people engaged. Like the prize money that they handed out to players, I think that will benefit a lot of those guys, especially near the end of the bench.
Sure.
We were just talking about world involvement, people around the world getting engaged. One of the biggest superstars in the world just signed one of the largest deals.
Yes, he did.
Shohei Ohtani, $700 million deal, 10 years, which sounds absolutely astronomical.
Yeah.
Which it is, but then we all found out the very next day that kind of wasn't totally true. So people have done the math, and it's really like a $450 million deal.
Right.
With all the deferred money
or something, right?
Yeah. So like, what Ohtani did, he signed that $700 million contract. Then he said, "I'm only going to make."
I don't know if
I'm sorry. With who? With who? My apologies. Wasn't the Blue Jays, who I secretly was hoping for. It ended up being with everybody's least favorite team, the LA Dodgers. Big move. He's going to have to hire so many moving trucks to move from Anaheim to LA.
Yeah.
But the way he signed his deal, he just said, "Oh, I'll defer $68 million a year. I'll only make $2 million," which. He's got to have a money guy next to him because if you're going to get $68 million deferred, like you're only getting taxed for the $2 million in California, mind you.
Right.
Instead of being taxed for your $70 million.
Right.
When half of your games are in California, plus an additional 13 because you play the Giants, who are also in California. So like, tax-wise, he's saving himself a bunch of money, and he can move elsewhere and then get his money.
Yeah.
And then not have that taxed. Like. Yeah. Oh, I want to.
You do want to.
I want to move to Florida, or I want to move to Texas. I want to move to Nevada afterwards.
Right at the end of that contract, you just go to Miami.
Or like, hey, what if he gets? I'm tired of LA, and in 5 years he gets traded to the Las Vegas ? I don't know if they're going to be Athletics anymore, but that's also a non-income tax state. So like, you got to look around and see these. He set himself up nicely.
It gives him options. It gives them options, obviously, to build in the present. But I don't think I've ever seen a contract like this.
One of the radio shows I was listening to back home, they were like, "Oh, like, is this a fair deal?" And the hosts weren't in disgust of it. They were just asking everybody else, like, "Oh, is this a fair deal?" of course it's a fair deal. Just nobody else has ever thought about doing it.
Both sides agreed to it.
Yeah, and like the MLB didn't oppose it.
No.
And they're the big entity that would go against it. And so if they okayed it, like, it's okay.
It just might, I guess, it has the potential to bring in an entire next range of these contracts.
It's going to be a ripple effect.
Similar things, and it may kind of change the way these contracts are built out, because for the longest time, baseball's kind of been the big money contract sport where...
there's no salary cap.
Trout deals or whatever it is, where you get the 10 for 500 or whatever it is, and now it's like the initial big number. I don't know what's weirder, the giant 700 million number or the way it's structured. Probably the way it's structured, just because it's so unique.
Yes,
and it
definitely
may have so many ramifications on the future. But I think the one thing is we'll at least get to see Ohtani in the playoffs, which is
that is a
great.
big one. Yeah,
like we have not even gotten close to seeing that, and he's like kind of the most exciting player in the entire sport, I would say, being a two-way
without
guy,
a doubt.
Which is just
this next year he'll be one-sided because he's recovering from that UCL surgery.
Is that right? Okay. Which sided then? Is he gonna?
He'll be hitting. He'll just
be hitting.
Yeah, he'll be the DH.
Interesting. Okay.
Because he won't be throwing the ball in the outfield because he can't throw the ball.
Sure. Diesel wants it.
Hey, Diesel.
Might have a little podcast guest joining us. Hello, Diesel.
My dog just came into the studio.
My goodness.
He has found out where the office is. And he's got
can always use more producers.
Definitely. Diesel.
Gotta be careful there. You gotta be careful there.
Uh-oh. He's too excited. He smells your dog. Next time he does. Next time you got to bring your dog over here, maybe. See if they
we'll see how that works with the audio.
Well,
might not be able to take it, but
maybe not in the studio, but out back.
Yeah, we may have to. But yeah, it'll be exciting to see Ohtani with the team. It's got to feel pretty horrible for the Angels to have
honestly
the two most electric players in the sport on the same team and never do anything and then lose one of them.
They never put anybody around them though.
But it's weird. Like they have the money to pay them,
team sport,
but nobody else. I guess like you could pay Trout, but then after that,
they'll say out? They are a
is it Disney
smaller
money?
Market team because they're in Anaheim.
Do they have Disney money?
I think they do, or at least they did, because that's how they became the Angels.
They got Disney money
because Angels in the outfield. I think
they should be able to do something.
Hey Diesel, you can't go out that way, bud.
You gotta go out the way you came in, dude.
You gotta go out this way.
There you go. Great appearance by Diesel there.
No, well, he just wants to hang out.
And he's back.
He's back. But yeah, the Ohtani deal. I think what a lot of people don't realize with that $450 million technically is what his contract is worth.
Sure.
Without the deferments, it's like any team really was in it then.
Yeah.
Like $450 million
a year.
When everybody was saying like, a $500 million contract is astronomical. Well, you break it down, it's less than that. And, you know, like, I think about it because I'm a Cubs fan, but like Cubs ownership, they were just constantly talking about, it's going to be such an expensive price tag and we don't want to spend that much. Dude, it was a normal price tag to what everybody else probably could have been paying for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, people who cry like foul, it's like, the Dodgers got away with something, they did something sneaky. Like, no, they used the rules to their favor. They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Just nobody else thought about doing it this way. This is the first time you've ever had a player with this type of caliber and production, both on the mound and at the plate, that you could say like Babe Ruth, but Babe Ruth wasn't around for big time money, he truly is a generational talent and player. So like you have to understand there's going to be a price tag for it.
I mean, that's a big part of baseball is paying for the talent, right? I mean, there's the reason all those contracts are a lot higher than all these other leagues, and there's no salary cap, and you're paying for talent, and if you don't want to pay for talent, you're not going to be that talented. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it.
I'm just trying to think of like
kind of adds up pretty quick.
I mean, we talked about the Angels. Like, who else? Could you name anybody else other than Trout and Ohtani?
I mean, you're asking
and you're I know you're not a baseball guy. But that's my point.
Pujols.
He's retired a couple years ago.
But it's weird to me that they had the money for these big single contract guys, but then just were never able to surround them.
We spent too much money on 3 people, and now we got to fill out a roster.
Yeah, which is not a problem with the Dodgers because they can just keep throwing.
Well, the Dodgers have the ownership that they have no problem shelling out the cash for the luxury tax.
Yeah,
is what it is. There's no salary cap, just a luxury tax. Yeah, they always do.
And
Ohtani, the reason why I like Ohtani's deal too for him specifically is he already makes like $50 million in advertising money. Like, he doesn't need the yearly salary.
He'll be in a new Angels in the outfield, but it'll be Dodgers.
It'll be Dodgers,
in the dugout, and it'll make enough money that he won't have to.
It'll be Joseph Gordon-Levitt's son doing it all over again.
I mean, it might be Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but he'll be like the coach now.
He'll be the coach. There you go. He'll be the coach.
So, exciting news, I guess. I don't know.
I think everybody was waiting for that domino to fall around the MLB.
I just want to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I was sort of hoping he'd end up with the Blue Jays. I mean, that's kind of my...
Wouldn't that have maybe been an Angels situation, though, where they pay for him and then they don't have enough for anybody else?
They were... I would say they were probably a player or two away from making playoffs.
Okay.
The AL East was very competitive last year.
Okay.
It was a perfect market for him because it's such a diverse city.
Yeah.
A lot of Asian culture in Toronto. One of his big things while he was talking to teams is like, I kind of want anonymity. Like, I don't really want to be known a whole bunch when I'm just walking around the city.
So you went to LA?
There's a lot of diversity in LA too. No, there's a lot of diversity in LA too. Where
I see what you're saying. Sorry, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
He's still going to be... I thought you really didn't want to be a big star around town. It's like...
No.
Well, I got news for you about the Dodgers.
He doesn't mind being the star, but he also wants somewhat normalcy to, like, walk around, take his dog for a walk, or do anything like that, where, like, you do that around Wrigleyville in Chicago, everybody's going to know who you are.
Yeah.
And, like, again, bringing up Wrigley, you got to park across the street from the stadium. You don't park in the stadium. You have to park across the street. Then you walk across.
Maybe that was the deciding factor.
Who knows? I don't think he wanted to play here because he doesn't do well in the cold for the most part. And Toronto is a domed stadium.
Seemed like a no-brainer. You go to the team in LA with the most money.
Yeah, no, it makes sense for him.
The World Series, whatever, 3 of the last 5 years or whatever.
They're always in the playoffs.
So it makes a lot of sense for him. I wish him the best. Hopefully we can see him being two-way in the playoffs and have some crazy things happen because it hasn't been able to happen in Anaheim, unfortunately.
All right, should we move to the heavy hitter portion?
Let's do it. We thought we were just talking about the heavy hitters.
Yeah, the heavy hitters. Well, literally, he was a heavy hitter. Let's talk about the NFL. A couple of things going around. We'll start with my POS team, the Chicago Bears. I left to go to work on Sunday. They were up 17-7. I was like, all right, we're sitting pretty 17-7 with like 90 seconds left in the third quarter.
Sure.
Get home, open up my phone, and there it is. Bears lose 20-17 to the Browns. I was like, what are we doing here? And I watched the highlights.
The Browns have a way of doing this in these games. The same thing happened to the Ravens.
Like,
the game was over and then they won.
Yeah, like Joe Flacco, he looks like he's 28 again for some reason.
He's elite. What can you say?
He's elite. He's doing good things for them. Like, think about it.
They're 9-5.
Cleveland stumbled into Joe Flacco, basically. You were ready to go with PJ Walker and DTR.
Yeah.
And then
picked him up off his couch.
And mind you, this is a guy that last year when he was on the Jets just looked miserable and didn't want to be there.
That might be a Jets thing.
That also is a high possibility as well. But Joe Flacco...
Not that there's much more talent on this Browns. Like, he's throwing to David Njoku a whole lot.
Njoku was a world beater.
And athletically, he's always had like that top-end athletic talent at tight end. But he's also been kind of middling for the past 3-4 years. So it's not like an incredible offense. And there's not a lot of other play. You got Amari Cooper. You got some other guys. But that defense is freaking ridiculous. And
Justin Fields was constantly under pressure in this game.
Yes.
Luckily, it was a better situation than his first career start in Cleveland a couple years ago when he got sacked. I think it was like 8 times. But he really didn't play half bad in that game. Like, it was terrible weather. It was downpouring that entire game. So I don't know why the Bears decided to pass the ball 20 more times than running it in that situation. I don't know. Again, I didn't see most of the second half, so I didn't know if they weren't getting a push necessarily.
Very possible against this Browns defense.
Yeah, like the defensive line's pretty good. I won't say anything bad about the Browns in that sense, but it's raining outside. Like, you can't be flicking it all over the place. It's just this isn't a video game where
with Fields, you'd think he'd just be pounding doing read option, doing the Ravens offense.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing the Bills offense.
And like he threw 2 interceptions, and neither of them were his fault.
Sure.
One of them was a Hail Mary attempt at the end of the first half that got batted around and then intercepted.
Yeah, it barely counts.
And then the second one, Darnell Mooney had it in his lap in the end zone on another Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then it was intercepted.
That was...
because he kicked it up into Bell's hands.
Yeah.
Into the safety's hands. And so the Bears could have had well, it could have been Justin Fields' like signature win. Because he's had a lot of opportunities to try to lead his team back on late drives. And this is the closest that he's gotten to them scoring a touchdown on that situation.
Away.
Yeah. So tough for the Bears. Eberflus is gone.
Yeah.
There's no way
he
keeping
isn't
him.
yet, but he will be, you're saying?
Yeah, he will be. The Bears never fire anybody in season. Never. They've never done it.
I mean...
Won't happen.
The Steelers didn't until this year.
Head coach.
They
have not fired their head coach.
Okay.
Because the Bears did let go of their offensive coordinator, or defense coordinator, and running backs coach? I don't know. It's all a mess.
Yeah.
But my point is... They're all about tradition. They're just not going to let Eberflus go until the end of the season.
Tradition? I don't see the point of that totally.
100 years of tradition, dude.
The thing is, it's not like a Packers tradition or a Steelers tradition. It's like the tradition is that you've been losing for years, so why keep the tradition up? Maybe it's time to change something.
I'm not saying I agree with it. I would have fired Eberflus before the Washington game.
Yeah,
when they beat Washington pretty handily, I still would have fired him because I just don't think he's that good of a coach.
Yeah,
but I should say that good of a head coach. Defensively, I think he's doing good things with the Bears' defense, but as a head coach trying to lead the way, I don't really see him doing that.
No.
That being said, transitioning here, I think Justin's the guy.
Oh, you want to keep him?
I want to keep him.
You don't want to draft one of these quarterbacks.
I don't.
Interesting, because you've got that.
Caleb Williams scares me. I say that because he is a bit wild in the pocket.
Yes.
He's got the longest time in the pocket holding the ball.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was already a flag against a lot of people with Justin Fields, which he has improved upon over these last few weeks. He's got more anticipation on that. Caleb Williams takes too many chances where in college it works because not everybody's an NFL caliber corner or safety or whatever.
Yes.
You're not Patrick Mahomes. That's not going to happen. Okay? Like, I get that you're athletic. There's been a lot of comps for a lot of players that never fill out. And Caleb, I just think he's too
So what are you doing
too self-destructive at times. And I don't think he's got necessarily the best attitude mindset. With how this last season went for USC and how he handled something.
I mean, you don't have to. I've never really. It's hard for me to get on board with the USC quarterback a lot of times, just because I've never seen one actually succeed in the NFL.
Except for Carson Palmer, but that was years ago.
And that's borderline success, I guess.
I would say he was very successful in Cincinnati.
Sure, he made the playoffs, I suppose. Not always my favorite guy of the USC quarterbacks. He's had the most success. I think that's safe to say.
100%. That's all I was saying.
Then I will leave it at that. So you don't want the quarterback? Are you thinking Marvin Harrison? That's number one?
No. See that's where I would change it up. I'd trade back.
You trade back.
I trade back. So that
could create a problem for me.
Definitely for you because you're sitting at pick number 2, and I would gladly trade with the Cardinals.
Yeah,
and have them scoot up to 1. We'll take number 3. We'll take Marvin Harrison there and get a first-round pick for next year because they want a possible franchise-changing quarterback. I'm using air quotes there because we don't have any video today. They would take Caleb Williams.
Yeah, they're ready.
And I think they would be just as big of a mess with Kyler Murray or Caleb Williams.
Similar.
I find them I find them to be very close to the same style of play, just Kyler Murray's 6 inches shorter and a little bit faster.
Yes. Yeah. Curious. Interesting. Yeah, I could almost see the Pats just sitting at 2 and taking...
They'll take whoever isn't picked up. Yeah.
But...
Bill doesn't take me, or he doesn't...
Well, I don't know if it's going to be Bill's decision at this point.
That's fair. But I was going to say, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to be overly aggressive to move up if he's still there.
He's a trade downer, not a trade upper. There's not been that long of a list of him doing that. It's definitely not been up for offensive guys when he has done it.
So that's kind of where I'm at with the Bears, though.
Curious, okay.
Because you're at 2. We could trade with you if we wanted to. But I don't think... There's no need for you guys to move up the one spot. You're going to get a quarterback either way.
Unless they're that much more in love with, Williams over May or some may over Williams, and someone's going to take they'll probably just sit at 2 and take who's there. Yeah, he declared he won the Heisman.
He won the Heisman, yeah. He actually had
without making the playoff.
He had a better statistical year than Joe Burrow had, but he won the Heisman. Minus, I think, a couple of touchdowns. But yards wise, completions.
He's interesting. I still am interested
He's
in these
athletic.
Pac-12 guys. I floated my Marvin Harrison early and then quarterback late theory. So it's either that or you take the QB early for me. The Pats are right there though, because Carolina got a win.
I see. The only reason why I don't see
really screwed things up.
Yeah, I know. The only reason why I don't see New England necessarily taking Marvin Harrison at 3 is...
I mean, it is early.
Yes, it's very early for them, but just...
For a receiver.
Who do you fall in love with early in the second round, quarterback-wise?
The Bo Nix, Penix, Daniels.
I've seen Penix fall to the 4th already.
Well, there you go. That's even better. I like all those guys, and there's going to be
You're willing to pick up Penix, double ACL surgeries. Got some issues. I'm just trying to voice a reason over here, you know.
No, I might, just because he's played. It seems like he's played the best and had one of the better seasons of all these college guys, and injuries are a concern. Certainly, if they have a track record of it, that's not great, but. If you're throwing a dart on a guy in the 4th rounds, and he could be a franchise guy, then...
What number is Caleb Williams, by the way, in college? Is he 15?
13?
13.
I don't know.
I was thinking Drake May. He's 15.
I don't know what he is.
I think. Isn't he 15?
The
only thing I could think of 15 in a Patriots uniform is Ryan Mallett, so I just...
Yeah.
You can't be having that.
Well, I agree with that we don't want Mallett. I think Tebow was on our team for like a practice squad warm-up.
No, that was a summer thing. That wasn't. He wears number 10. Okay, he's fine. He's safe.
Yeah, let's get another 10 at quarterback for the Patriots. That sounds great.
Drew Bledsoe? He was pretty good for you.
No, Mac Jones.
Well, that's Mac Jones. That's different.
Bledsoe is 11 too. I'm pretty sure.
Frick, you're right. He is.
I love 11s with the Patriots. They're great. At least the receivers. But yeah, Patriots lose again. I wish they hadn't beat the Steelers because then they would have maybe even been tied with Carolina right now.
Yeah.
They had no chance against the Chiefs. But even so, they were in the game the whole time because their defense is really good. It's really good every week. It's like top 10.
It's your offense that is
offense is so horrendous
struggling.
that they can't even get to 10, 15 points and they lose these games. And Zappy played this week and he played okay in the first half and then he came out and threw a horrendous interception on the first play of the second half and never threw another good pass. So that was pretty horrible. Yeah. So not much good going on there.
The one thing I really want to talk about in this game, continued woes for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't want to beat a dead horse for you.
A receiver worse than our receiver.
I know. You really want to stay on the Patriots talking point. That's why it's a natural transition to Kadarius Toney. He has made too many mistakes for this team. I am surprised Patrick Mahomes just hasn't locked him in his basement or something like that. Yeah. And don't even let him show up for game day because he has single-handedly cost the Chiefs at least 2 games this year.
Maybe 3. Like
the Lions game, this Patriots game. And then,
week.
Yeah, you're right.
Last week he definitely cost them.
So
he lined up offsides and didn't check with the ref.
That's 3 different games that he has cost you losses for the Chiefs. You could be 12-2 right now.
If we had a competent offense, we could have been able to mount some form of comeback because he missed the catch, tipped
That's true. Yeah, it was intercepted. The Chiefs still won. So they could be
mattering this week because
they could be 11-3 right now instead of 9-5 in the 3 seed. They could be tied for the 1st seed with the Ravens right now. Had Kadarius Toney just been competent,
dude. Last week they designed. You're allowed to look at the ref and ask, "Am I on sides?" And then he has to tell you if you're on sides or not.
He never did that.
Look at him. It's like
all he did. He stuck.
What are you doing?
Did you watch the video?
Yeah.
He just stuck his arm up and never looked at the ref.
Yeah, he was like, "Am I good?" And then he just looked straight forward. It's like, dude.
Normally the ref.
There's a reason this is never called. It's because it's built in where you don't have to call it.
Yeah, the ref will just be like, "Move back a little."
Yeah. So there was a decent amount of people who were like, "I can't believe they called that. Refs, get out of my game." And it's like, how is this on them? He just had to ask, and then the play would have been legal. I know it was a cool play. Everyone's mad that the cool hook and lateral.
I mean, it was really cool.
An incredible 30-yard lateral back pass from Kelsey didn't count. But just ask if you're on sides, and then it'll count.
No, that's all on Kadarius Toney.
1,000%.
Andy Reid says he's not done with him, but let's be honest here. Like, there's nobody in that receiving room that you would trust.
I mean, yeah, Sky Moore's on IR now.
Oh no!
I just saw, which doesn't make
he was such a world beater for him.
MVS has obviously had problems dropping passes that could get them ahead.
Tony drops passes.
Tony drops passes into the defender's hands, which is even worse.
Yeah, Watson is like
a guy.
Exactly. He's just a guy.
Kelsey has not really been that good for a while. He's kind of, he's aging. He does his stuff. He gets his passes, but he's not like a juggernaut. He's not averaging.
I think more teams are focusing in on him now because there's not as a threat on the outside.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He's the only thing you have to guard. So it's gonna be a problem for them. They keep dropping. I'm curious where they're gonna. I mean, it's always the Chiefs and Mahomes, so the playoffs will be interesting. But they're not gonna have home field. It's looking like it's pretty much going to be tough to pull that off at this point.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes never played a road playoff game outside of neutral sites.
Crazy.
Like,
that is so crazy.
They've always
charmed life to walk into Andy Reid's offense with all these Tyreek and Kelsey and only play home games and neutral site games.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It's so yeah, a little bit of stuff you're gonna have to work through there that might be difficult.
Speaking of teams that have fallen down the playoff list, the former 1 seed Philadelphia Eagles lost their 3rd straight game. Yeah. They went from the 1 seed down to the 5th seed. They are now going on the road. Granted, there's still a couple games left in the season, so things will change. But right now, the playoff picture...
They lost the division.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If the Cowboys now have the division lead.
Do they play each other again?
I think they have one more matchup between those two. But the Eagles are supposed to go on the road at Tampa Bay, which, that seems like a very winnable game for them. But the fact that you drastically fell so far from the 1 seed down all the way to the 5th seed, because one, you lost the division, like we just said, to the Cowboys, and then the 49ers, they had their 3-game skid, but have they've just been taking care of teams left and right since their bye week.
Yeah, when they're healthy, they're probably the best team in the league. And it doesn't really seem close at this point.
No.
And it doesn't really, Brock Purdy's leading in the MVP race right now, which is crazy. But he doesn't really make mistakes. He gets the ball where it should go. I mean, I still think McCaffrey should be the MVP on that team by a mile.
Same.
I don't understand how he can throw an underthrown pass to a wide open McCaffrey who falls down catching it, gets up and runs into the end zone, and you go, oh my God, what a throw by Purdy, MVP. It's like, that guy's wide open.
I just looked at...
He knocked me out of the playoffs, the fantasy playoffs. That guy's crazy.
Tough. That's tough.
That guy's crazy. And so it's just crazy to me. It has to be a quarterback, it feels like. I thought Tyreek and McCaffrey should have been it, but it's just all entirely Purdy, Dak, Lamar. Dak kind of seems like he screwed himself over. Lamar is very up and down, even though they're the 1 seed. Hurts and the Eagles are
This is kind of like the most open MVP race season that we've had in a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough if they give it to Purdy, I feel like. That's going to be tough.
I understand it because it's basically a quarterback award.
He's played well, but...
He's got so many more weapons than anybody else.
15 quarterbacks, I still feel like, who could do what he's doing on the Niners. So, good God, if Stafford was on the Niners... They might be undefeated. And Stafford's been balling out this year.
Right?
He's been incredible
since he's returned from his injury that he had last
year. I do still think about that a lot, and all these other talented quarterbacks on these other teams that
And the real question is, could Daniel Jones thrive with the 40? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not even going to get into that one. I did look at the Eagles' schedule. They don't play the Cowboys. You say he would thrive.
I don't know about thrive, but they would be a 5 seed.
The Eagles play the Giants twice and the Cardinals once. So 3 very winnable games for them.
Jesus, that's 3-0, easy.
But let's see.
That's the Eagles, you said?
That was the Eagles. Let's look at the Cowboys' schedule. They got the Dolphins. Tough one.
Oh.
Lions.
Oh.
Defense is a little sus for the Lions, not the Cowboys.
I mean, that's a real team.
Yes, it is a real team. And then you got the Commanders to end the season. Okay. So that one's a win. So basically, if you're the Eagles, you're hoping that the Dolphins come alive. But mind you, Dolphins have not beat a team that is above 500 this year, or a playoff team.
I guess it matters if Tyreek's going to play in that game too.
And then the Lions, who actually played well last week. Jared Goff had his 5 touchdowns.
Could legitimately beat them.
But their defense has been sus the month prior to that.
Yeah.
So that one, you never know. That's still 2 more weeks away. Maybe the defense gets a couple guys back from injuries, because I know their defensive line has struggled. I'm talking about the Lions. They've dealt with some injuries on the defensive line.
But the problem is the Niners destroyed both of them. So, like, does it even matter? Like, are
you're talking about the Cowboys and the Eagles?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm strictly talking about...
who gets the 2 who gets the 5.
Exactly. No, I don't see the Niners... Because, like...
I don't see them losing in the NFC. Unless someone gets hurt.
They've got the Ravens.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. They'd have to get to the Super Bowl.
No. I'm saying... this is the 49ers.
Oh.
Remaining schedule. They've got the Ravens.
That's going to be a great game.
That'll be
Christmas.
On Christmas, yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Double Monday nighter.
That might be a Super Bowl preview.
It could be.
Former Harbaugh Bowl.
Yeah. Redo the Harbaugh Bowl.
Those are great.
Then they
bring back Jim Harbaugh.
Bring back Jim to the Bears.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be
coming
back to his former team. I'll lead them to a playoff win. Huh?
He's just gonna stay and be the king of college football. Though,
yeah, so. No, he'll never leave Ann Arbor.
It's too much power. Why would you give it up?
Yeah, and the 49ers play the Commanders the next week on New Year's Eve. And then they finish the season against the Rams, which Rams have been playing some good football. I'm not saying it's a toss-up.
They always play them tight.
But I think that'll be tighter. I'm not marking that one as a clear W for the 49ers by any means, but I could certainly see them winning that one just fine. I think the Ravens is going to be the toughest one that they have left.
Yeah. I think the Rams will be tough too, because those NFC West matchups are always tight with McVay and Shanahan. But... I mean, I'd still just think the Niners are going to roll every team in the NFC if they keep it up like this and stay healthy. I just don't. I mean, they've done it to the 2 teams I thought were quite good. I mean, I don't really still believe in the Cowboys just because of the Jerry Jones curse.
Yeah, same.
I'm curious what they do against the Ravens here, because the Ravens are in a prime position right now.
Both teams are the 1 seed.
With the 1 seed.
That's a great matchup.
And one of them is going to have to lose when you really think about it. One of those teams is probably going to lose. So
it'd be so funny if it just ends in a tie. Neither team loses, just a tie.
But yeah, so the Dolphins could maybe sneak into that 1 seed conversation. Everybody else has more losses than that, so I don't really see it. But
like the Cowboys and the Eagles are just even the Lions are just hoping the 49ers lose. The Lions are 10-4.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there are 3 different teams that are behind the 49ers. 3 different teams are possibly in the running for the 1 seed. Depending on how these final 3 weeks go.
So the Bucs have now snuck into the playoffs.
Yep.
In their, if you could call it a division.
Yeah, because the Falcons lost to the Panthers.
Sure they did. And then the Vikings and the Rams are right in there behind them. The Rams are in the playoffs, which is kind of scary. But the thing that's interesting here is, are the Bills going to make the playoffs? Because they feel like the team absolutely nobody wants to play.
They're on the outside looking in right now. I mean, what is the Bills?
They're 8-6. They're tied with Bengals and Colts. They probably have some tiebreakers there, but
they face the Chargers, they face the Patriots, and they face the Dolphins. Tough. Now the Dolphins are ahead of them.
Tough.
Obviously, they're the 2 seed at 2-4. I mean, you look at who are the remaining. You have to look at the Colts schedule and the Bengals schedule.
Colts and the Bengals
so the Colts play the Falcons.
That's probably a win.
Yeah, they play the Raiders. That one could be 50-50.
I don't know anymore. With the Raiders scored almost 70 points.
And then with the Texans, I mean, if Stroud is back, I would say the Texans win that one.
It's not a lot besides Stroud right now.
No, they're abysmal.
That would be tight, because the Colts defense has been legit.
It's been pretty good.
At least creating turnovers wise. The Bengals Jake Browning experiment's been going well, and the Browns.
Well, I mean, he had a great victory.
That T. Higgins catch murdered me in fantasy as well.
Yeah, that one's tough. Bengals have the Steelers coming up, which Steelers defense is going to cause fits for Browning. You just know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Then the Bengals play the Chiefs.
19-13 or something.
And then the Bengals play the Browns, which the Battle of Ohio is 2 playoff teams now.
Those are 3 tough matchups for the Bengals.
Yes.
So I could see that, but I feel like every other team in the AFC is just does not want to play the Bills. Like, they're rolling. Josh Allen is scary. James Cook is now rolling.
I think
they do not want to.
I think the Bills make it in.
I think they probably do too, because they probably deserve to. I mean, but you don't want to play that. You'd way rather play the Bengals or the Colts, or the Browns, or the Jaguars than the Bills. Like, I don't want to play the Bills. That's why I'm sure everyone else is hoping they don't make it. So we'll see. But
I seriously think that the Bills are going to make it now. I'm just looking at the schedule. Like, the Bengals.
I mean, you're
probably losing 2 out of those 3?
I would think so.
So as long as the Bills just don't fall apart.
Yeah. As long as they don't lose to the Pats again. Which they we did beat them this year, which is crazy.
Yeah, so, that's an interesting thing.
That was Mac Jones' last good game. His game-winning drive. I think that was his first game-winning drive, and he got benched the week after that, and he's never going to play again until he's in his Ryan Tannehill's second team year.
And then I'm looking at the Browns schedule. It's actually very favorable for them. They play the Texans. Again, that's really dependent on is Stroud back.
They're chilling, too. They got 9 wins.
Yeah, and then they play the Jets, who we know offensively are just incompetent.
Yeah.
Despite last week for some reason. And then they play the Bengals, as we already discussed with the Bengals schedule to end the year. So, they're kind of sitting in a good spot.
Yeah.
So it's really the Bengals and Colts, and I think the Bengals, unfortunately, will probably fall out.
The year. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all.
But you have to remember, both those teams play the Texans.
Yeah.
And so if the Texans win 2 games, win those 2 games, if they're healthy, the Bills might be on the outside looking in.
That's what I'm hoping, because they're scary, and you don't want the scary 7 seed, 6 seed in the playoffs, because that's just not what
that's how you get those runs. I mean.
Yeah. So, and I'm hoping good things for the Ravens, that they can go far this year and prove some people wrong. So we'll see, but it does. The AFC's a lot of options, like Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Dolphins outside chance, and then the Niners are probably going to be in the Super Bowl. I just don't see how that's not going to happen at this point. But we'll see. Could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to play out here in the final 3 weeks, which. I think it makes it more intriguing. I mean, how often do we have to usually playoffs are pretty much set. You're just all right, who's going to be 6 and 7 right now?
Yeah.
NFC wise, there's still a lot of things that could happen.
And we were pretty set on it would be what it was, but with the Dobbs-Assons ending and the Rams sneaking in there, maybe the Seahawks can get in there too. We end up with 3 NFC West teams. I don't know if I see the Saints or the Falcons. I mean, it's just whoever wins that division.
Yeah, I don't see the NFC South producing a second playoff team. I think it's just whoever wins that division is going to go in. It'll probably be
the Bucks, I would say.
I see the Vikings falling off.
I mean, yeah, they don't have a quarterback anymore, apparently. He's not even the backup. Dobbs is
he's the third string guy. He's a third string guy. They play the Lions twice and the Packers once. So 3 divisional games. 3 divisional games.
For who?
For the Vikings. 2 against the Lions, 1 against the Packers. Those Lions, Packers, Lions.
They could lose all of those.
Same. That's what I'm thinking. So they could be 7 and 10, and then the Seahawks
sneak in.
Yeah.
There's no other real option. I don't see the Saints. I can't really watch Derek Carr.
Seahawks play the Titans. Strong defense, offense can be sus. It depends on the quarterback play. I'm not worried about the running back. We know what he can do.
I don't know, man. He didn't do much last week. Derrick Henry.
Oh, he didn't
ran
do that
for 10 yards.
Oh, okay, well.
He's had a weird season. He hasn't really done much, so. But it is
their offensive line isn't the same either. You realize that they lost 2 offensive linemen from the team last year.
No, I would never realize that. I don't keep track of the Titans linemen, so that is fair. I had no idea.
I know that because the Bears grabbed one of their offensive linemen in free agency. So, the Seahawks also play the Steelers. Again, tough defense. Offensively,
no quarterback.
Yeah, offensively they can't really do much.
They're choosing to start Mason Rudolph again.
That's bad. Although I did just get the update that Kenny Pickett is practicing today.
They better hope he does, because we knew in the Ben Roethlisberger era that Mason Rudolph sucked, and they're still trying to do this.
I don't even know why he's still on the roster.
I have no idea. I mean, their backups are horrendous. It's Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. Get me out of here.
Almost every team's backup is not great. That's why they're a backup.
But a lot of these teams are playing with their backups, and they're Gardner Minshew is going to get into the playoffs for this team. Jake Browning is basically Joe Burrow mini.
Minshew actually is like a fringe starter.
Joe Flacco's elite.
Baker's
a gamer.
Baker, I think, actually did play himself into a possible contract with another team next year.
Yeah, maybe he'll go to the Browns. Imagine Baker on the Browns.
Back on the Browns?
They just kept Baker in all their firsts. They would probably be a top 3 seed right now.
Maybe.
And be on their way to Super Bowl, potentially. But we don't have to get into their stupid decisions.
But yeah, so that's kind of the playoff picture right now.
The Patriots are eliminated?
Yeah, because they lost. Happen? They lost this week.
We only have 11 losses.
Just 11.
We can sneak in.
Yeah, Yeah, the Bears are 5-9 and still technically have a chance. Which, let's be honest,
on the bubble.
Guys, we don't have no chance.
You're on the bubble.
You're not making the playoffs from going 8-9.
You're on the bubble though.
On the bubble. So is every other team.
You can win the NFC South. What do you mean? You can get in. You just win the NFC South.
Yeah. It still blows my mind that the Buccaneers used to be in the Bears division before they created the South.
That's crazy. My mind doesn't go back that far.
They were like the NFC Central, and it was the same 4 teams it is now, plus Tampa Bay. It was very strange.
5 teams?
There were 5 teams.
Oh, interesting.
This was probably like 10, 15 years ago.
Curious. Interesting. Okay, let's get to what people want.
Yes, sandbag. Interesting couple of weeks.
I was down. I was out.
You were down. After week 13, I'd won 61.98 to 65.28. That was the week where you were like, I don't know how the Patriots players did anything. It was Alec Pierce who actually ended up really hurting you.
The game of his career, he had 100 and a touch.
Yeah, 17.5 points that game.
Hasn't done that since.
Since then, week 14, you ended up winning by 4.1 points.
Let's go.
I had to replace Pacheco because he was hurt.
Being out's really hurt the Chiefs.
Picked up Clyde Edwards-Helaire because she'd been invisible.
There's a name.
He put up 8.9 points in that Week 14 loss for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I switched out my defense because the Commanders were on bye, so I put on the Panthers. You had Cardinals on bye, so you picked up Titans D.
Yeah.
James Conner was on bye, so you picked up Alexander Madison. And then Stoll became the backup again because Goddard became healthy, and you picked up Smythe.
Yes. Legend.
So your high score in that week was actually Bailey Zappi, 19.1 points. That was when they won.
Yeah, he threw 2 touchdowns to Hunter Henry or something.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder actually hurt me. He put up 21.8 points. That one was a tough one.
He's got some tools.
So you won week 14. That put us at 7-7 on the season.
Let's go.
Nobody was on bye this week, so this was strictly injuries when we had to make changes.
No more bias.
Madison was hurt. He got hurt in the previous game, so you picked up Zamir White on the Thursday night game.
Not great.
Yeah, he put up 15.7.
Immediately got a touchdown.
Yeah.
Brandon Bolden had like a 50-yard touchdown that I thought it was him for a sec, so I got scared.
Really freaking out over there.
So, but luckily survived that.
So your lineup was Zappi, Najee Harris, Amir White, Alec Pierce, and then you picked up Tyler Lockett because Juju was out. He was a scratch. You kind of ran into my situation that I ran in like 3 weeks ago where it's like, oh shit, it's Monday night and I gotta find somebody now.
Yeah.
So you picked up Tyler Lockett. He actually only had 3.6 points, so it really didn't hurt you that much.
Yeah.
Ryland put up 4 points. I'm pretty sure he's going to be gone. There's no way he's
garbage.
There's no way.
We drafted him in the 4th round.
Yeah, out of where?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Nobody
traded
cares.
Nick Folk, who's missed like 3 kicks all year.
Yeah, no, that one's tough. Your Titans D put up 15.6, so that was or 0.6, I should say. That was your second highest score.
Yeah,
I had
messed up there.
No changes in my roster, which I thought was going to be okay. Clyde Edwards-Helaire decided to score a couple touchdowns.
He's bold.
Wake up. Chuba Hubbard, even though his team didn't score a whole bunch of points, he racked up a lot of yards.
Yeah, he's sort of good.
And then the Panthers' defense held the Falcons to just 7 points.
Disgusting muck game.
So that was just 11 points for them. But, I lost. You won by 9.3 points.
Let's go.
So you officially are in the lead, 8-7.
Here we go.
As we head into week 16 now.
Here we go.
I actually do have to make a change because Desmond Ridder just got benched.
What? That's crazy. He was doing so well.
He was doing amazing.
Wait, have deja vu. Didn't this happen before already?
Yes, it did.
And it worked for them, and now they're in the playoff run? Oh.
Yeah. No, they're in it.
Not quite.
I don't think anybody else got hurt for me, but you're going to have to be stuck with White now, unless...
Oh, yeah. If Josh Jacobs comes back.
If Jacobs comes back, yeah.
I feel like he might. I don't know.
He could. So I have to figure out a quarterback. I'll probably figure that out in the next couple of days.
Is that the only guy I might have to replace?
Yeah, I think so. Pierce is still in there. Harris is still in. Lockett.
How'd Smythe do these?
Smythe got 5.20. He actually had a couple catches because Hill wasn't in there.
Shoot.
But yeah, that's...
Bailey Zappi.
That is Fantasy Sandbag. We're coming in on the final 3 weeks here.
Is it 2 or 3?
3, because it's week 16, 17, 18.
We don't want to be tied at the end of this.
No, you can't. You can't be tied after this.
Okay, good. We're gonna have to.
Well, actually, we could be tied technically.
No.
There's 18 weeks, and it could be 9 and 9 technically, but.
Wait, are there 3 more weeks after this?
Yes, it's week 16.
Oh,
right
and
now.
I'm 8 and 7. Okay, yeah,
yes.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we might have to add some stakes to this as we get close to the end here.
I mean, I feel like that's a little cheap to change it up.
Lead.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
you
that I have the lead, let's add some stakes.
Yeah. Of course, you'd add that one.
Okay, well, maybe if we're tied after this next week, we'll add some stakes.
Maybe
because it'll be a little more even.
Yeah, that will be a little bit more even. We should definitely add stakes for it next year. We should
weekly even maybe.
Should we add one more person to this next year?
The Sandbaggers or the podcast?
The Sandbaggers, not the podcast. We don't need 3 talking heads.
Maybe. Yeah,
only guess. Only guess will be the third one.
You can add Diesel to it.
Oh yeah, Diesel's a natural now.
Recurring guest.
Yeah. I think adding a third person might be fun. It becomes a little bit harder to pick certain players.
They're like our median or something.
Yeah, right.
The extra game against the median. I almost said that I got knocked out of fantasy playoffs this week in the first round because I played McCaffrey and Laporta.
That's tough.
And T. Higgins and Jake Browning. It was a fun Saturday to go into Sunday knowing I was already pretty fucked.
Yeah.
But I had a point to that, but now I forgot what it was. So I just started feeling bad. Oh, it was. I almost was like, "Hey guys, but I beat the median. What does that get me?"
This is the one week, by the way, in our fantasy league that I would have beaten everybody except one person.
I know you had the best week of probably your season, which is good timing.
I guess. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't have my own draft pick.
That is the one tough thing. So you're...
Here's what I will say.
I didn't realize that. I had to go look. I was like...
You didn't realize that? I've only been talking about it the entire year.
I forgot, and then I remembered, and I was like, oh, so...
I forgot who had my first round draft pick.
That was the main thing.
If it was Mason, I might be tanking. Just to not let him get the first overall pick.
See, this is interesting. So in our league, the losers bracket, the winner of the losers bracket gets the number 1 pick because it's a dynasty league.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
You get 1-1 if you win it.
Confusing.
You get 1-1 if you win it, but do you get 2-1 then as well, or do you just go back to where you would normally be slotted?
Yeah.
You get 2-1 as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
And 3-1. Yeah. It is actually. I'm pretty sure.
Well, if that's the case, then I definitely want to win that because then I would have
the draft order. Yeah, because you would have your 2 and 3 still.
I have my 2. No, I only have 2 seconds.
You have.
But I have Matt's and mine, so they would be back to back because we're playing each other.
Yeah. Well, the winner of the losers bracket gets the number 1. After that, it's reverse standings. So he's not going to get 2. Well, I think he might.
That was my original question.
He might because of his record, actually. So you might still be right. But
that was my original question, though. It's like the winner of this only gets that first round selection, and then it goes back to what your record is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. That was my original question.
Yeah. He does actually have the worst record, probably. So you might have been thinking of that, and I thought you were thinking of the other way.
I mean, either way.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
Still have an early second round.
But yeah, you traded your rights to your first round pick, so now you're at the dilemma where it's like, do I win? Even though I'm not getting that, but with the second and third, I think it makes sense to still try to win that for you.
Yeah,
get some bumps on those picks.
I'll try, but no. I was in the same situation last year. Somehow I backed into the championship, and I was like, I don't care about this. I don't care about it. I don't care about it. And then it came down to like 5 points. I was like, fuck, I care about this a lot. I really want this first pick.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah, I didn't have my pick this year either. I was worried I was going to be in there, and to be able to get into the playoffs, I was at least pretty happy with. And unfortunately, the Tank Dell, CJ Stroud injuries kind of knocked me out of it.
That's the one fault to the double dip. Is if both people get hurt and they're like your main scorers though. Like you were relying on them pretty heavily.
They were my difference makers, I would say. They weren't like my main good guys, but they were the ones who were going to equalize it for me in the end because they were my super flex and my wide receiver 3. So it's like having great guys at those positions would have been such a boon. But I don't necessarily know if that's the downside of the double dip because it's like injuries are going to happen wherever.
Well,
it's not necessarily
that's
more
why
likely.
I added the caveat. You were heavily using them. They were in your lineup a lot.
Well, sure. Yes.
That's the only reason why I said that. Not just in general. Normally, double dip's good.
Yes. But there's not like inherently more risk because they're on the same team.
Correct.
They
It just happened that both those guys happened to be on your team. You were double dipping, and they both got hurt. Well, and they were starters for
in the dumbest ways too, where Tank Dell's blocking in the middle of a scrum.
Yeah, that
gets his leg broken. It's like, how about you don't have your 150-pound guy in the middle of that? Go let him be on the outside. They motioned him in and put him in there and got him hurt. And then Stroud gets a concussion like at the end of a game they were going to lose. And of course it's a concussion, so he's not going to play next week.
Yeah.
Unless you're Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Then you can. But every other player in the NFL misses the week after they get a concussion. Pretty much across the board. So it was a very unfortunate timing. And I was not able to overcome it. Then I plugged Keaton Mitchell in because I loved him, and he tore his ACL at halftime, and he had 10 points. So I was like, okay, all right, I don't think this one's for me, guys.
I was watching the highlights of that Ravens game, and he got like a swing pass, and he took it another 20 yards. I was like,
he's really good.
I know what's going to happen after this.
He is. It's more of a bummer for the Ravens offense in real life because he was their best, most dynamic running back.
Oh, yeah.
Other than Lamar, I guess, or whatever you want to say.
Oh, so you're calling Lamar a running back? Right?
I am. He's a good running back. He's pretty good for a running back, I would say. And then, because Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, are fine. They're not going to do...
they're okay. They're serviceable.
And they need them in the playoffs. They're going to go 10 for 35. And it's not going to make a difference. But Keaton Mitchell would have been able to actually explode, and he was progressing. It reminded me of... I'm immediately going to forget the reference that I was going to make. Sometimes running backs will come on late in like a third kind of role. It's the Packers guy when they won with Rodgers. Starks. Oh,
Starks. Yeah, James Starks.
He came in late in the season. And
he was an undrafted free agent out of Buffalo.
Was just their best running back for 7 weeks in a row. It felt like Keaton Mitchell had the potential to kind of ramp up into that.
Yeah.
But he's done now. So that might actually be a big difference maker and hurt them.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
They don't have as much...
No explosion.
Full, top line speed and kind of get to the edge. Gus Edwards is going to rumble and get goal line stuff, and Justice Hill's okay, but so that I'm worried about them for the postseason in that regard, but not to be.
Yeah. Any other? Here I did want to talk about one last thing. It doesn't have to do with Sandbag or fantasy. The Tommy DeVito story.
Yeah.
You got to ride that wave, right? Like, he's on another contract after this year, right?
Isn't he like a rookie?
Yeah, but he was undrafted rookie, so I don't know how long that contract is.
I don't know if that's not like a regular 4-year deal. Or whatever.
Yeah, he wasn't drafted, so like you don't have
the problem is
guaranteed 4-year deal.
They already gave all their money to Daniel Jones, and then it seems like it's immediately backfired. So
you can trade him.
I do feel better. I mean, I don't know who wants him.
The Jets. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of anybody. I don't know why. Anybody at all.
It's hard to sign up.
Arizona?
Quarterback who you have to pay and you don't think is good. It's like, I don't know who wants that. Like, that's
Minnesota.
But no, because he sucks.
I'm literally just naming teams that won't have a quarterback. That's
not even like Cousins where it's like, oh, you have to pay him a lot, but he's decent in the regular season. He'll get you there. It's like, no, this guy sucks. And you have to pay him. It's like, wow, okay, why would I do that? Like,
Tampa Bay. Atlanta.
I don't know.
New Orleans.
I mean, they signed up for Derek Carr, so maybe. He's terrible.
How long is that deal?
I don't know, but he's terrible.
I thought it was only like a couple of years.
The worst red zone quarterback.
I
don't know.
Tennessee? They're a question mark at quarterback.
Maybe. I don't know. I have to say yes at some point, and there's going to be some...
I mean, you don't have to say yes at all, which is a very real answer.
I clearly would not, but, they got to the playoffs with him. He's got some tools. He can move. The problem is
I've seen more questionable trades in the NFL that I wouldn't be shocked.
Already being paid. The contract.
Yeah, it just eats up a lot.
It's tough. Maybe the Browns.
Is there a way you could... Yeah. You could possibly restructure his contract once he gets traded, because I have heard teams doing that once you trade.
I don't know. Honestly, I think he'll stay with the Giants.
He probably will.
Because they're stuck with him, and DeVito will come back and do TikTok videos for him. Or something.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I brought him up is that there was a controversy with him. He was going to a pizzeria in New Jersey.
Sure.
A show appearance. Yes, a show appearance for $10,000, which is a lot for a nobody.
Wow.
And for a pizzeria.
Yeah.
Let alone. And then he won the Monday night game against the Packers. I have no idea. I think people would be coming in and hopefully buying pizzas.
It's like advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow! Oh, you're right.
Oh yes, that does check out. That does check out.
That's how they make money.
Anyways, he beat the Packers on Monday Night Football with that last-second field goal. Not that he even kicked it.
Yeah.
Upped his fee another $10,000. Went from $10,000 to $20,000, and the pizzeria said, "Nah, we're good."
Once he became famous, they were like, "This marketing no longer works for us. Now that people know who you are."
No, that's not why. It was you could justify spending $10,000 maybe when you had a $15,000 budget, and now he's asking for $20,000. And you're
getting more out of it now.
Are you?
I know who he is now. Like I didn't know who he was.
I knew who he was before the Green Bay game.
Sure, but
you're going for Giants fans. You're not going for the random Joe Schmo.
But if you're paying $10,000 for nobody, paying $20,000
you're paying $10,000 for a guy who is 2-1 as an NFL starting quarterback.
But now he's 3-1.
Now he's 2-2.
Now he's what? I thought they won. I don't know.
They won against Green Bay and then lost this week to New Orleans 24-6.
His star has risen precipitously, I would say, and so he's going to ask for more money. It's funny to me that they were willing to pay and now they're not because I feel like you're getting more.
It's a small mom and pop pizza shop.
Well, I mean, I don't understand how they were willing to pay that in the first place. So it's.
I don't know either. But when it's a mom and pop pizza shop, I don't expect you to fork over an extra $10,000.
Well, yeah, that's why he's going to do Domino's commercials next week.
Can't. It's not an NFL sponsor. Little Caesars.
Okay. Yeah, he'll do Little Caesars.
But like, I get it.
Was that an Italian Caesar? Roman?
He's
Italy?
Greek, isn't he?
Greek? That might be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, you're right. You can't do it.
I don't know if you can do that one. Papa John's.
Not Shaq's Pizza.
Real Italian. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. But like, the whole DeVito thing, I think it's a fun story.
Yeah.
Bro, come on.
You're not gonna get.
You're really pushing. You're pushing your buttons there. I think.
This is his moment to do it. I stand by it.
I think if somebody approached you after you had already said you were going to do that, then you could up that to $20,000. You don't sign and say,
appearance. Right? $10,000. Here you go. Next time, $20,000.
Listen to me.
He can do that.
Yeah. But you just said it. Next time, $20,000.
That sounds like what he did.
No, he was changing it. He originally signed to do $10,000, and then he won, and he said, "What?"
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then he before he could do the appearance, he changed it to $20,000. So he asked this small pizza shop to go up another $10,000.
They should have done it.
No.
They should have done it.
Cowards. You know what? I'll just tweet Eli Manning. I bet you he'll pop into the pizza shop for free.
Well, maybe they should have been doing that the whole time.
I mean, maybe they will now. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think Tommy DeVito maybe got a little too big for his britches there.
Impossible.
Is it?
I don't know.
Nah.
Pretty big britches.
Any other things you want to talk about today?
Not particularly.
Before you have to go work with that bouncing orange ball?
Yeah, that old thing. I don't really even have a great nerd corner this week. There's a couple things I'm like halfway through. I guess I could... I watched the rest of Star Wars Visions, which I don't think you've seen. It's like...
so like an alternate?
It's they gave the rights to Star Wars to a bunch of different anime creators and put it on Disney Plus, and so they're a bunch of one-off different animation styles, 15, 16-minute stories in the Star Wars universe. There's 2 seasons of it now on Disney Plus, so like 7 apiece, and they're all just wildly different, at least animation-wise, and made by different studios. But they're all great. They're really good. They're like 15 minutes, very digestible. Some of the best, like, most interesting fight choreography in a lot of them, and then some of them are like very like little kids going on an adventure kind of things. Some of them are more serious. Some of them are more introspective.
Like anime style ones, like I know you love.
They're all anime style. They're just different styles.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very anime, but they're all like pretty different. So you get a good kind of judge of all these different realms of anime. But they're all within the Star Wars universe, and they're great. I really love them. They're one of the better Star Wars things on Disney Plus, and I pretty much finished watching this, and then I would finally cut the Disney Plus cord, at least until Andor comes out again. There's not much else on me for there.
I gotta figure out which one I can cut the cable to or cut the cord from.
I cut that one.
Like Showtime is going to Paramount Plus, so it's just like I don't need Showtime anymore if it's going to Paramount Plus.
Yeah. So, but Star Wars Visions is great, really good. fantastic. The first episodes of both of the seasons are like kind of the standout. The first and the last, it feels like they put as like these are the big budget kind of very cool ones. So I would at least recommend watching the first and second seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll kind of know pretty quick if you want to watch more. But they're awesome. They're really cool and they're very just digestible. You can just watch 1 and 2, 3. Get through them. Yeah. There's like 7 total in each season. So
well, you said they're 15-minute episodes too. You can cruise through it in like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and they're just little contained stories. So God knows you don't get a lot of beginning, middles, and ends, especially in Star Wars. So to just watch something with characters in a new place that isn't just like a reference to a thing from a movie, it's just its own story. It's what I've been wanting from Star Wars for years. It's just here are interesting new things happening in this world that have nothing to do with the shit that you've seen. Whoa. Crazy. None of them are prequels. There's no prequels in here. It's new stuff, which is cool. And new ideas, which is not really very much what Star Wars has been lately. So
no, I think they did that for like the first episode of The Mandalorian, and then they started to like rope people in from what we knew from the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, season 2 was a cameo show, and season 3 was all about other characters and set up for other stuff. And here, and Boba Fett couldn't even focus on Boba Fett long enough to get through its episodes before it just started doing
Mandalorian stuff. Yeah.
So Visions is a great thing that is just new and unique, and you won't see a Luke Skywalker in there, which is nice.
Tired of Luke.
There's other freaking people doing stuff in this universe that don't have that last name. Crazy idea. So would highly recommend.
Okay.
Great stuff. And then you can cut the Disney Plus cord after that. Until Andor season 2.
Probably. I need to keep it around for the Christmas movies. Then I'll cut it. It's only an extra week.
Yeah. There's no other place you can find Christmas movies. So
there's none.
There's none. No Christmas movies.
All the fun Christmas movies.
It's impossible to find on these streaming services.
Never. There's not even a section for them.
No, it's difficult. They're still on the Halloween stuff. I don't get it. Not a big holiday, I guess.
Yeah, no. People tend to forget about this one.
So. What can you do? But we'll be back probably not on Christmas.
Probably not on Christmas. Maybe the day after Christmas, like Boxing Day.
We'll do a big wrap up of the year.
Exactly, for Boxing Day. We'll wrap it all up nicely, put a bow on it. I'll get you the best Not the Onion stories of the year. You'll get us
some top 5s, some top 10s.
Yeah.
Gaming talk. It's been a hotly contested year for Game of the Year. We'll see what comes out.
And of course, we'll have a bit closer of an NFL playoff preview.
Coming down to it.
Baseball's forgotten. Now it's the winter season. Yeah, exactly. And then the NBA, we do have guests. We have a guest lined up to talk the NBA season, but we're gonna continue like the in-season tournament never happened, and the NBA season has not started until after Christmas and the New Year's.
It's not quite heated up to that potential yet, but they're lucky we talked about it in the beginning, which is what they wanted. So guess it all works.
Yeah, it all works out. That's Ray Bradley. I'm Brian Slyke. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sportslandia, brought to you by the Next Professional Athlete platform. And thank you to my office for hosting us. Couldn't have done it without you. Thanks, bud. All right, we'll see you next week.